What if you could understand greatness, not just in stats, but in impact? Not just highlight reels, but legacies? In the next 30 minutes, we're breaking down the elite of the elite, the stars who rewrote positions, who redefined what it means to dominate. From late round picks, turned legends, to defenders who bend schemes around them. These aren't just pro bowlers, they're eras. Some talk loud, others just end drives. But every name on this list changed the game. And if you want to know why they're elite, you're about to find out. Player by player, no fluff. Tom Brady. The system, then the system breaker. He was never supposed to be this. Sixth round picks don't get statues. They don't become folklore. And yet, 199th overall became the heartbeat of the NFL's most unkillable dynasty. Tom Brady wasn't fast, didn't have a cannon, and sure as hell didn't walk into the league with swagger. What he had was the mind of a chess grandmaster and the ice-vein confidence of a Navy SEAL. Under Bill Belichick's ruthless efficiency machine in New England, Brady became the Patriot way incarnate. Surgical, disciplined, and devastatingly boring to lose to. He built his legacy not by embarrassing defenses with 60-yard bombs, but by killing them with 1,000 8-yard cuts. Death by slant route. Death by dig. Death by always knowing where the pressure was coming from and what the answer was. Every missed tackle. Every blown coverage. Every 2nd and 7 that became 3rd and 2. He made sure you paid for it. By his 3rd Super Bowl, people said he was just a system guy. Then he became the system. And then he left it. When Brady joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 43 years old, it wasn't supposed to work. The scheme was vertical. The locker room was loose. The head coach was Arians, not Belichick. But Brady didn't just adapt. He elevated. Threw for 40 touchdowns. Led late comebacks. Took down Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes in one playoff run. What began as a chip on his shoulder became armor. Each Super Bowl, another ring of invincibility. Each comeback, another argument settled. The slowest quarterback in modern NFL history became the fastest to crush hope. And when the GOAT walked off the field, it wasn't the end of an era. It was the end of every era. Aaron Donald, the one-man wrecking crew. In a league that worshipped size, Aaron Donald was too short. Not long enough arms. Not heavy enough. Scouts saw a bulldog and missed the avalanche. Then he took his first NFL snap, and it was over. At just over 6 feet tall, Donald packed every molecule of rage, twitch, and technique into one singular explosion. He didn't play defensive tackle. He detonated it. O-linemen watched hours of tape trying to figure out how to block him. Didn't matter. Double teams failed. Triple teams failed. Every play was a jailbreak, and Donald had the only key. He wasn't vocal. Didn't trash talk. Just showed up every Sunday and ruined everything. 9-time Pro Bowler. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. And when it mattered most, Super Bowl 56, final drive, 4th down. He crushed Joe Burrow's protection like tin foil. Game over. Ring secured. His dominance was sustained, not just sensational. He played like a first overall pick. He was drafted 13th. He put up edge rusher numbers from the inside, changed game plans before the first whistle, and never once needed the spotlight to shine. He just was the spotlight. And when Donald finally stepped away, it wasn't just the Rams who lost something, it was the whole game. Patrick Mahomes. Chaos, but with control. At first glance, it looked like backyard football. Mahomes running sideways, flicking 40-yard lasers, laughing mid-play. But beneath the no-looks and spin-outs was a mind wired for precision. The chaos was real, but it was always calculated. He walked into the league and instantly turned Andy Reid's offense into a fireworks show. Threw 50 touchdowns in his first year as a starter. But what separated him wasn't the arm, it was the vision. Mahomes saw the field like a point guard with X-ray goggles. Pre-snap disguise? Didn't matter. Post-snap pressure? He just ran circles and found Kelsey. Playoff game down 24-0, still won by 20. Playoff drive with 13 seconds left. He made it look like too much time. He's faced every coverage, every blitz, every desperate plan a defensive coordinator could cook up, and beat them all. And somehow, the legend still feels like it's just beginning. 3 Super Bowl appearances before 30, 2 rings, a highlight reel that breaks the laws of biomechanics. He plays like a video game character with cheat codes, but wins like a tenured professor of quarterbacking. Patrick Mahomes didn't break the mold. He's building a new one. Tyreek Hill, the speed that changed coverages. There's fast, and then there's Tyreek Hill. Corners backed up 12 yards just to survive. Safeties stayed deep even when the play was short. Entire defenses bent around one question: where's number 10? But Hill wasn't just a track star in cleats. His route running was elite. His ball tracking was absurd. And in open space, he was untouchable. He didn't just score, he erased angles. Screens became touchdowns. Crossers became chaos. You blinked, and he was already in the end zone. With Mahomes, it was like lightning in a bottle. Broken plays turned into back-breaking touchdowns. You couldn't cover both. And if you guessed wrong, the scoreboard flipped fast. But when he joined Tua in Miami, the world assumed he'd slow down. He didn't. He got better, led the league in yards, turned a short ball offense into an explosive one. Tyreek Hill forced DCs to invent new schemes, forced analytics guys to redefine open, forced fans to reconsider what speed can do to a game. He didn't just change plays, he changed philosophies. Zach Martin, the silent killer in the trenches. He didn't do interviews, didn't have signature celebrations. Zach Martin just erased defenders. You could go entire games without hearing his name because his job was to keep yours from being mentioned. At right guard, Martin built a resume worthy of Canton and barely cracked national headlines. That's how good he was. 7-time All-Pro. Allowed 1 sack in 4 seasons during his prime. Anchored a Cowboys line through Romo's final days, Dak's emergence, Zeke's peak, and every roster mutation in between. There was no drama, no mic'd up moments, just pure elite execution. His punch was textbook, his feet always in sync. Coaches never had to scheme around his side because nothing got through. For lineman lovers, Martin tape was like fine art. Reach blocks, combo pulls, second level erasure, all done in silence. And through it all, he became the standard, the metronome of consistency in a league full of chaos. If you want flash, look elsewhere. If you want greatness, start at right guard in Dallas. Levante David, elite on every down, overlooked every year. In a league obsessed with flash, Levante David was the foundation. You didn't hear his name on highlight reels. He didn't trend. But every Sunday, he was the smartest, toughest, and most complete player on the field. Drafted by a team that forgot what winning looked like, David stepped into chaos and never blinked. Through head coaches, losing seasons, and defenses that constantly cracked under pressure, he held the line. Whether it was covering tight ends, sniffing out screens, or beating linemen to the edge, David made the hardest stuff look routine. He wasn't built like a superstar. Number 4.3 speed. No viral mic'd up moments. Just perfect reads, perfect angles, perfect timing. And year after year, he got buried behind louder names: Wagner, Kuechly, Smith. But ask anyone in Tampa's building, and they'll tell you, he was the defensive quarterback, the guy who knew the call, knew the tell, and knew what was coming before the offense did. Then came the moment, 2020. The Buccaneers finally gave him help, and gave him Tom Brady. That Super Bowl run wasn't just about offense. It was Levante and Devin White terrorizing the middle of the field, shutting down Mahomes, playing like the best LB duo alive. For once, the spotlight found him. For once, he wasn't just underrated. He was unavoidable. And even as the years piled on, his game never slipped. Levante David aged like he played, quietly, reliably, and always one step ahead. Travis Kelce, a tight end who plays like a WR1. Every generation has a tight end who redefines the position. Travis Kelce freed it. He's not a blocker, doesn't have to be, because Kelce turned tight end routes into primary options. Option routes, pivots, deep ends. He ran them all with the fluidity of a slot receiver, but he did it at 6 feet 5 inches, 250 pounds. For years, teams tried to find the formula to stop him. Too big for corners, too quick for linebackers, too smart for zone. And with Mahomes, forget it. Their chemistry was jazz, unstructured, brilliant, and always in sync. Mahomes scrambled, Kelce adjusted, and the chains moved. Over and over. 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Multiple playoff dominations. A postseason resume that matches the legends. And when the spotlight hit, Super Bowl stages, fourth quarters, late drives, he never blinked. He was the security blanket, the drive extender, the heartbeat. In a league where tight ends used to be a position of balance, Kelce made it a weapon, a first read. And yeah, he's a showman. But behind the antics is a technician, a film junkie, a route artisan, the kind of player who bends coverages by just existing. Kelce didn't just play the game, he shaped it. Fred Warner, the modern middle linebacker. Before, Fred Warner, middle linebackers didn't cover like corners. After him, they had to. He wasn't the heaviest, wasn't the meanest. But Warner had something else. Range, lateral speed, pattern recognition. The rare ability to read a quarterback and a receiver's leverage at the same time. He anchored the most violent defense in football, San Francisco's swarm, without ever looking out of place. And in a league shifting toward space, Warner thrived inside of it. He'd drop into the deep third, then sprint back down to stonewall a screen. He'd blitz off the edge, then rotate into coverage on a slot fade. He became the 49ers voice, pre-snap commander, post-snap predator. His fingerprints were on every level of the field. And when the 49ers needed a stop, big game, big moment, Warner was always right there. Linebackers used to be defined by tackles. Warner's game was about prevention. The routes not thrown, the windows closed, the quarterback hesitating just long enough. He wasn't just the best linebacker of his era. He became the blueprint for the next one. Justin Jefferson, breaking records in year 3. Some guys take time. Justin Jefferson didn't take a single snap to prove it. As a rookie, he stepped into Minnesota and made all pro corners look lost. As a sophomore, he became uncoverable. And by year 3, he'd already broken every meaningful record for early career receivers. But the stats only told half the story. The roots, those were art. Jefferson's release off the line was unpredictable. His head fakes were disrespectful. His breaks were so sharp, you could hear DB's ankles crying. And the moment never felt too big. In prime time, on fourth downs, against pro bowlers, Jefferson always played like he belonged. He didn't wait for permission. He just took over. The league noticed. So did fans. His gritty became a cultural staple. His catches became memes. But beneath the flash was a technician with elite football IQ. He saw coverages before they unfolded. He adjusted mid-play. He made Kirk Cousins look like prime Montana. Jefferson didn't just put up numbers. He put pressure on defenses in every direction. Take him out of the game, and the Vikings folded. Give him 1 inch, and he took 40 yards. He was that dude. From the jump. Geno Atkins, the forgotten disruptor. In a golden age of edge rushers, Geno Atkins did his damage from the inside. Undersized. Quiet. No flashy sacks around the edge. Just relentless interior pressure that wrecked plays before they could breathe. Atkins was the kind of player you noticed on film before you noticed his name. But if you played against him, you never forgot it. Atkins turned the Bengals' defense into something feared. For a while. When he was at his peak, Cincinnati didn't just hang with contenders. They dominated up front. He was the reason. Taking on double teams, collapsing pockets, ending drives. He rushed like a defensive end, absorbed like a nose tackle, and beat blocks with hands so quick, linemen said it felt like getting mugged in fast forward. And when he started to fade, so did everything around him. The defense softened. The Bengals unraveled. Because for years, Geno was the glue, and nobody realized it until he was gone. You won't find him on many top 10 lists, but ask the linemen who tried to block him. Ask the QBs who watched him flash from the A-gap. They'll all tell you, he was a nightmare. One of the best, even if most fans missed it. Derwin James, built in a lab, plays like a wild card. There are defenders who do their job. Then there's Derwin James, who does everyone's. Safety, linebacker, slot corner, edge rusher. Yes, and that's just one drive. Derwin plays football like he was custom designed to break offenses. Built like a linebacker, moved like a slot corner, processed the game like a veteran quarterback. You couldn't put him in a box because he played in all of them. It wasn't just versatility for show. Wherever he lined up, he immediately became the most dangerous player on the field. He could jam your tight end, then drop into a robber zone and pick off a slant. Next play, he's blitzing untouched off the edge. And the play after that, he's mirroring your slot receiver stride for stride. He made it look unfair. Because sometimes it was. Opposing QBs circled his number in meetings. OCs built game plans around avoiding him, not beating him. Because Derwin didn't just play positions. He broke structure. He forced adjustments. He made offensive coordinators react. And then, the injuries came. Over and over. Full seasons lost. Flashbacks to what could have been. But every time he was counted out, he came back with the same speed. Same instincts. Same violence. And if anything, more. Urgency. Because Derwin James plays like a man who knows how quickly it can be taken away. And when he's healthy, the Chargers' defense isn't just better. It becomes something else. Confusing, fast, versatile, dangerous. He isn't just a player you insert into a scheme. He's a weapon that changes what the scheme can be. You don't teach what he does. You just pray you can use it. Derwin James isn't just a chess piece. He's the piece that breaks the board. Jalen Ramsey, trash talk and true coverage. Some corners cover. Jalen Ramsey competes. He didn't just line up across from your WR1. He challenged their existence. From day one, Ramsey didn't try to blend in. He barked. He stared. He pointed before the snap and let you know. This wasn't just a game. It was a fight. And he didn't care who you were. Julio Jones? Let's go. Tyreek Hill? I've seen faster. Devontae Adams? You're next. Ramsey made every matchup personal. And not in a cute, highlight package way. In a true, unrelenting, alpha dog way. He played cornerback like it was a championship boxing match in Yoroni every Sunday. But what made him truly terrifying wasn't the mouth. It was the mind. Because Jalen wasn't just a talker. He was a technician, a film junkie, a master of root concepts, tendencies, formations. He studied you before you ever stepped on the field. And then he'd beat you with physicality, length, patience, instincts. He could press you to the sideline, flip to zone, then reroute a slot receiver the next play like he'd been doing it all his life. He wasn't locked into one system. He was the system. And when the Rams gave him even more freedom, safety, nickel, post, Ramsey became positionless. The rare cornerback who didn't just shut down part of the field, he shaped the entire coverage. Yeah, he had off days. Gave up plays. But that's the life of a true number. One corner. You don't get to hide. And Ramsey never wanted to. He wanted the lights, the microphone, the moment. Because he wasn't just playing a position. He was asserting dominance. Mental, physical, relentless. That's Jalen Ramsey. And every Sunday, he showed up ready to prove it. Again and again. Quentin Nelson. Violence in the form of a left guard. Before Quentin Nelson, offensive linemen weren't supposed to go viral. But then came the pancakes, the tosses, the sound of helmets ricocheting off turf as defenders got launched out of frame. Quentin didn't just block, he broadcast violence. Most linemen win with angles, with leverage, with hand placement. Nelson won with all of that and something else. Rage. Controlled, refined, but unmistakable. Every snap looked personal, like the guy across from him had insulted his family. He entered the league in 2018 and instantly became the alpha of an Indianapolis Colts team looking for a new identity. With Andrew Luck's health fading and the franchise in a tailspin, Nelson was supposed to help rebuild the line. Instead, he became the foundation. As a rookie, he was already trucking linebackers on pulls and locking down future Hall of Famers in pass sets. Defensive tackles dreaded film sessions. Coaches started game planning around him. Rare for a guard. Unheard of for a rookie. He wasn't finesse. He wasn't a technician pretending to be a brawler. He was both, with attitude. Quentin played like someone who wanted you to feel every inch of turf you were slammed into. And yet, off the field, quiet, polite. The kind of teammate who let his play speak louder than any mic ever could. Inside that Colts locker room, he became the tone setter, the one everyone looked to. Not because he talked, but because he finished. Every block, every play, every game, he brought respect back to the offensive line, made pulling guards cool again, became the face of a franchise without ever needing the spotlight. His message was always clear. Run behind me, or don't run at all. Stefon Diggs, the root technician with a mean streak. You don't go from 5th-round pick to All-Pro without a chip. For Stefon Diggs, it wasn't just a chip. It was a mountain, and he carried it like a badge of honor. He entered the league as an afterthought. Too slight, too moody, too inconsistent at Maryland. But once he got a chance, he turned corners inside out with surgical precision. Minnesota gave him a shot, and Diggs turned it into highlight reels and heartbreak. Just ask the Saints fans who still wake up sweating from the Minneapolis Miracle. But as good as he was, he wanted more. More targets, more accountability, more respect. And when the Vikings didn't give it, he bet on himself and left. Buffalo took the gamble, gave up picks, headlines, scrutiny. But what they got back wasn't just a great receiver. It was the guy who unlocked Josh Allen, turned a cannon-armed scattershot quarterback into a top 5 MVP candidate. The chemistry was instant. The impact was undeniable. Diggs didn't just catch passes. He created space that didn't exist. His footwork, elite. His feel for leverage, advanced. His breaks, cruel. He didn't just run routes. He dictated terms. And when the ball wasn't coming his way, he let you know, loudly. Because that's the thing about Diggs. The fire is always burning. Whether he's torching a DB or barking on the sideline, it comes from the same place. Standards. And the truth is, he meets them. Every season. 1,000-yard campaigns became automatic. Top corners became victims. And defenses had to pick their poison. Double him or get punished. Because even when he's covered, he's not. Stefon Diggs isn't just a technician. He's a technician with teeth. He talks it. He walks it. And more than anything else, he routes it. Nick Bosa. Quiet, consistent, unstoppable. In a sport addicted to sound bites and swagger, Nick Bosa let his play do the screaming. No dancing after sacks. No pre-game quotes bulletin boards could feast on. Just snap after snap of silent, relentless pressure. His get-off wasn't just quick, it was teleported. His hands weren't just heavy, they were surgical sledgehammers. He didn't beat you with wild spin moves or jukes. He beat you with technique so refined, it looked rehearsed. From the moment he stepped into the league, Bosa felt inevitable. He joined a 49ers defense already stocked with talent. Warner, Armstead, Greenlaw, and still became the most feared man on that front. Because when it was 3rd and 7 and you needed a stop, it wasn't a question of if he'd get pressure, it was how quickly. There was no wasted motion in Bosa's game, no fluff, just purpose. Cold, calculated violence. He diagnosed protections like a veteran, set up tackles like a grandmaster, using one move in the first quarter so he could finish them in the fourth. Quarterbacks knew it. You could see it in their eyes. The pre-snap glances, the post-snap panic, because Bosa's pressure didn't just show up, it collapsed timing, killed rhythm, wrecked game plans before they had a chance. While other edge rushers chased stats or headlines, Bosa chased perfection. Even when he led the league in sacks, he looked like he hadn't peaked. Coaches called him relentless. Teammates called him a machine. And when the Niners made deep playoff runs, his consistency became the floor. Every game, every moment, you knew what you were getting. Quiet, efficient, devastating. He didn't need to talk. The film spoke loud enough. And it screamed, unblockable. That's 15 players. 15 different paths to greatness. Each one reshaped football in their own way. Not just elite on paper, elite in presence. If you felt that, if you lived through it, you already know. And if you didn't, now you do. This was Greatness Explained.